Hi everyone and welcome to Linguistic Appropriateness session number 4. In these sessions we discuss how to make your translation acceptable, informative and communicative, and our main focus in today's session will be on translational competence and naturalization of translation. So in today's sessions, our objective will be to identify the components of translational competence and to know how to naturalize your translation. So, translational competence, in fact, has 3 main elements. So, these elements are: 1, a competence of understanding the source text, to understand its content and to identify its problems, its text type, and its formality level. And another component of the translational competence is the ability to transfer a message from the source text to a target text. The last component is a mastery of the target linguistic resources. So if you have these three items, this means you have translational competence, or you are a competent translator. So if you have a problem with understanding the text, which is the first item, you definitely will have many problems when it comes to the second or the third one. So you need to go through them one by one, identifying the meaning and the component in the source text, and then to use the correct transferring strategy and the appropriate strategy of transferring your text type. And then you have to review and edit your translation. So there are 3 skills needed to improve your linguistic competence. Number 1, you need to have some skills related to source text processing skills. You need to identify the component, you need to identify the problems, and to think of strategies of handling these problems. And then you need to get some skills related to transferring, and we said we have 2 main skills. Number 1 is to choose your strategy, and number 2, to find the correct mode of translating your text. And then you are going to end up your text by enhancing the target text related skills. What do I mean by the target text related skills? This is naturalization of your text, to make your translation communicative, to make it natural, and to make it appropriate according to the source, the target language resources and rules. For example, when you translate from English into Arabic, you are supposedly to start with a verb in Arabic, because this is the appropriate way of translating into Arabic. But if you are translating from Arabic into English, you have to start with a subject, because this is the English way. Or if you would like to translate an adjective plus a noun into Arabic, so the nouns usually come before the adjectives. This is the Arabic way, while we have an opposite way of ordering these 2 parts of speech in English. So again, you need to focus on getting these skills: processing skills, identifying the component and the problems, the text type, and the tense and formality level, transferring the component again to make a draft, and to choose the appropriate translation strategy. And in this stage, you can compare your draft with your source text. And after you're done with comparing and drafting, you have to go through the target language, because this is translation. And you have to keep in mind that your readers or your reader or your audience do not have your privilege, which is the source text together with the target text. They will end up only with the target text. So you have to make this target text appropriate and acceptable, and most importantly, natural according to the target language rules and norms. So, how to make your text natural, how to naturalize the target text. After you're done with comparing your text with the source text, your translation with the source text, how to make your text sound appropriate and acceptable in the target language, whether you are translating into Arabic or from Arabic. So here, according to de Beaugrand and Dressler, we could say any group of words is a text if it has the following condition. Number one, the ideas in this group are connected. Two, that they are logically progressing. So the first sentence is related to the second sentence, or the second sentence gives an example for the first sentence, or the third sentence is an effect of the second sentence, and so on and so forth. Or if we are to borrow some ideas from academic writing, so the first sentence is a topic sentence, the next 2 or 3 sentences will be supporting sentences, and we are going to end up our sentences with a concluding one. So here you have to keep in mind we need cohesion and we need coherence. So cohesion and coherence are very important to call a group of words a text in any language. Number 3, there must be some kind of intention. There is an intention to communicate. So the ideas are there, they are connected, and the intention to communicate these ideas is there, exists. What I mean by the intention is that the communication included in this coherent and connected ideas is clear. And number 4, situationality. And what do I mean by situationality? It means that your ideas are suitable to the context. For example, in today's session we are going to go over a sport text. So you have to make every single word fit. You have to make every single word fit into the context of sport. So how can I make my text fit into a certain context? By reading in this field or in this domain 2 or 3 other texts related to this, and I'm going to tell you how to handle this. Then we have number 4 or number 5, we have acceptability. Acceptability, it means that your ideas must be true, must make sense to your reader or to your receiver or receptor of the text. And lastly, we have informativity. So there must be some kind of information conveyed in your text. So your text somehow gives us some information related to that. So again, your text must be informative. What I mean by informativity is that your text must make sense to any reader or any audience or any receiver of your text. So after you're done translating any text, ask yourself, are the ideas involved coherent or related, connected, and their there is some logic ordering or logical ordering in the ideas expressed in this text, and do we have communication, and is it suitable, the ideas are true, and the information makes sense to the recipient. So let's go for practice, and we are going to practice with this text, Mustafa Muhammad, U23 AFCON final, a must-win game. This is a sport text, and we are going to practice translating this text. So here, for example, we have the text, and we need to go through the 3 steps that I talked about earlier in this session. So here we have Mustafa Muhammad, U23 AFCON final, a must-win game. What do you mean by UN? I don't know, for example, what do you mean by UN or AFCON. I can go here, go Google it, U23 AFCON, and I can read about this. So, for example, here we have Wikipedia. So I'm going to find out what I mean by this. So Africa U23 was the third version, and so on. Competition organized by the Confederation of African Football for men's under 23 national teams. So المنتخبات الوطنية تحت سن 23. So here, now it makes sense, right? So here, a final, so the finale, the last game. So the final, a must-win game. So let's read this again. So remember again, the first skill is to process, understand, and interpret the information involved in the source text. Egypt under 23 national team forward Mustafa Muhammad has talked about his side's qualification for the 2020 Olympics, saying that the final is a must-win game. So here is a forward. What do you mean by forward? If I write down forward here in Google again, it will come up as a striker, the one who scores goal. So he is المهاجم. So مهاجم مصطفى محمد of national team المنتخب الوطني under 23 تحت سن 23 أو منتخب الشباب أو المنتخب الأولمبي. So we have 3 different ways. Has talked about his side's qualification. His team qualification. What do you mean by qualification? هل qualification هنا doesn't mean مؤهلات? No. In this context, it means تأهل. So we have qualify for or disqualify استبعاد من. So for the 2020 Olympics, saying that the final is a must-win game. Following a convincing 3-0 win against South Africa in the U23 AFCON semi-finals, Egypt put their spot in the 2020 Olympics in Tokyo next month. So we have Tokyo Olympics, دورة الألعاب الأولمبية in Tokyo, التي ستعقد في طوكيو next month. Mustafa Muhammad is currently nowadays the U23 AFCON's top scorer. Scorer is again هداف, to score goal, the one who scores goal. So top scorer أفضل هداف. So هداف after netting 4 goals in the competition. Speaking to Sada al-Balad TV channel about Egypt's qualification for the Olympics, who is speaking? Mustafa Muhammad. So this sentence here, the subject of this verb is Mustafa Muhammad. So while he was speaking, he said, for example. So this is a reduced adverbial phrase. So speaking to Sada al-Balad TV channel about Egypt's qualification for the Olympics, Mustafa Muhammad expressed his delight after the Pharaohs defeated South Africa. We promised the fan we would qualify for the Olympics, and we did. We qualified. So we did here is the legend. It means we qualified for the Olympic. I'm happy that we didn't let them down. What do I mean by let them down? To fail them or disappoint them or made them sad. I don't care much about individual accolades, such as the top scorer award or man of the match award. I was only concerned about us qualifying for the Olympic, and we're now thinking about winning the final. We're playing at home. What do you mean by playing at home? في البيت? No. So here contextually it means على أرضنا. بنلعب على أرضنا and in front of our fans. If you are familiar with sport terms, you will go for على أرضنا وفي وسط جمهورنا يعني. So it's a must-win game. We'll do our best on Friday to win the U23 AFCON, and I want to work hard with the Olympic team. Hopefully, I can get a chance with the first team after this tournament. Tournament, it means a competition, which is a championship, the competition here. He added. So after reading the text as a whole, which is expressing this stage, which is the first skill, which is a source text receptance competence, the ability to understand the source text. So now I understood all the elements in the source text. I even tried to find out the difficult words here like AFCON, U23 and so on. So now I'm going for the next skill or the next competence, which is the ability to transfer a message from the source to the target. So let's go for this. Usually I can handle this by dividing my text into separate sections. So I'll go for this section and this section. And this one. So remember when we said uniting or divide your text into units, so you can use uniting or you can use this way. So I'm going to translate the title. So Mustafa Muhammad. Then we have U23 AFCON final, a must-win game. Again, you have to keep in mind this is a draft, so you are going to edit and proofread this draft. So don't worry or don't care much about grammar mistakes or spelling mistakes. Again, keep in mind this is a draft. So Mustafa Muhammad المباراة النهائية في بطولة كأس الأمم الإفريقية للشباب لا بديل عن الفوز فيها. So here Egypt 23 national team forward Mustafa Muhammad has talked. تحدث, the verb again, find out the verb and start your sentence. تحدث مصطفى محمد مهاجم منتخب مصر للشباب تحت سن 23 عن تأهل فريقه لدورة الألعاب الأولمبية saying saying here, it's again a reduced sentence. It means and he said. And we could say وأكد أن المباراة النهائية. Let's say لا بديل عن الفوز فيها. So now I'm done with this part, with the title of course, and with this part. And here we go for the next one. Following a convincing when. Convincing when اللي هو الفوز المستحق. It's a collocation. So فبعد الفوز المستحق على. We don't use ضد. Let's say ضد for example. ضد منتخب جنوب أفريقيا في نصف نهائي بطولة كأس الأمم الإفريقية للشباب. حجزت مصر مكانا لها في دورة الألعاب الأولمبية في طوكيو الصيف المقبل. So now I'm done with the second part. Let's go for this part. ويعد for example is could be translated into يعد or يعتبر. ويعد. So again remember this is a draft. ويعد مصطفى محمد حاليا أفضل مهاجم أو هداف في بطولة كأس الأمم الشباب بعد إحراز 4 أهداف في البطولة. وأبدى سعادته في حديثه لقناة صدى البلد عن لتأهل مصر منتخب مصر للأولمبياد. بعد هزيمة منتخب جنوب أفريقيا في المباراة قبل النهائي أو الدور نصف النهائي. قائلا وعدنا الجماهير بالفوز بالتأهل وقد وفينا بوعدنا. وإنني سعيد لأننا لم نخذل تلك الجماهير. كما أنني لا أهتم كثيرا بالألقاب الفردية accolade individual accolade مثل هداف أفضل مهاجم أو أفضل هداف أو رجل المباراة. And these are two awards given to players in games. If you are not familiar with these items, so we have man of the match and top scorer. فكل ما يهمني هو تأهلنا لدورة الألعاب الأولمبية والآن نسعى للفوز في المباراة النهائية. Again, this is a draft and we are going to redraft or review this draft to make it natural. And the last part here so this part you can translate as an assignment. We are playing at home فنحن نلعب على أرضنا وأمام مشجعينا ومن ثم فهي مباراة لا غنى عن الفوز عنها. سنبذل قصارى جهدنا يوم الجمعة للفوز بالبطولة وسأعمل بجد مع الفريق الذي سيتأهل لدورة الألعاب الأولمبية كما أتمنى أن أحصل على فرصة مع المنتخب الأول بعد هذه البطولة. So here after we're done with this, so we have practiced the two competences. The first one is understanding and transferring. So now let's go for comparing this with this. So comparing your text, it's a part of, if you still remember, editing your text to compare the source with the target text. So here, Mustafa Muhammad U23 African final is a must-win game. So here مصطفى محمد المباراة النهائية في بطولة كأس الأمم الإفريقية للشباب لا بديل عن الفوز فيها. ولا بديل عن الفوز في المباراة النهائية. Again, let's compare this. So we compare this. Yes, we have the same information, of course. Nothing is missing here. All the contents have been transferred. And let's go to the next one. Egypt U23 national team forward Mustafa Mohammed has talked about his side's qualification for the 2020 Olympics, saying that the final is a must-win game. تحدث, which is this verb, مصطفى محمد مهاجم منتخب مصر للشباب تحت سن 23 عن تأهل فريقه لدورة الألعاب الأولمبية. Yes. Here there is a missing part. Which one? 2020. We could say I'm, for example, وأكد أن المباراة النهائية لا بديل عن الفوز عنها. Again, we have the same content here and here. Let's go to the next part, which is this one. Following a convincing 3-0 win against South Africa in the U23 African semi-final, Egypt pocked their spot. Egypt, it means the Egypt national team players pocked their spot. That's why we have there, referring back to the players of the Egyptian national team. Egypt pocked their spot in the 2020 Olympics in Tokyo next summer. So فبعد الفوز المستحق when convincing winning ضد, so we have ضد. Do we say الفوز المستحق ضد or على? So على منتخب جنوب افريقيا في نصف نهائي. So we could say في نصف نهائي بطولة, or we could say في الدور قبل النهائي. So في نصف نهائي بطولة كأس الأمم الأفريقية. So if you are not familiar with any term, or if you are in doubt about any term, you can just Google it. هل في حاجة اسمها نصف النهائي؟ نصف النهائي. Just write down نصف المباراة نصف النهائية مثلا. أو الدور. Yes, we have مباراة نصف النهائي. So it's acceptable here because people who are here, we have بطولات, for example, it's something. So مواعيد مباريات نصف نهائي. So here it's natural because people who are writing using this, using Arabic and writing in this domain, in this field, use this. For example, here let's read this to enhance my vocab competence about this part. So أسدل اليوم الجمعة الستار على دور المجموعات لبطولة كأس الأمم التي تستضيفها مصر تدخل مرحلة جديدة، واستطاعت 4 منتخبات أن تخطف بطاقات التأهل هي مصر وغانا، وتستضيف مصر البطولة حتى 23. ومن المقرر أن يلتقي منتخب مصر في نصف النهائي. So we have نصف النهائي. See? Or you can read any other thing. موعد مباريات نصف النهائي. Or أفريقيا موعد مباريات نصف النهائي. So we have here نصف النهائي is acceptable. في نصف نهائي بطولة كأس الأمم الإفريقية للشباب. And as we said, how did they say? See? Under 23 دايما بيقولوا كمان في نص اهوت بيقول تحت 23 سنة. So تحت 23 سنة it's acceptable. So كأس أفريقيا تحت 23 سنة. So we could say بطولة كأس الأمم الأفريقية للشباب أو تحت 23 سنة أو كأس الأمم الأفريقية تحت 23 سنة. So وقد حجزت مصر. Do we have the same information? Yes. Here and here. So the last part, this one, Mustafa Mohammed is currently the U23 African's top scorer. Top scorer هو الهداف. أكتر واحد يعني جاب هدف فهداف، هداف البطولة top scorer. هداف هي دي صيغة مبالغة. After netting as we said بعد إحرازه وليس الشبكة. Again netting 4 goals in the competition. Speaking to Sada al-Balad TV channel about Egypt's qualification for the Olympics, Mustafa expressed his delight after the Pharaohs defeated South Africa. وأبدى سعادته في حديث لقناة صدى البلد لتأهل منتخب مصر للأولمبياد بعد هزيمة منتخب جنوب أفريقيا في المباراة قبل النهائي. And here we promised قائلا وعدنا الجماهير بالتأهل وقد وفينا بعهدنا. What do you mean by وقد وفينا بوعدنا أو وقد فعلنا ذلك? It is a translation of this term. Here the information has been condensed. هو قصده هنا يقول and we qualified for the Olympic, and instead of repeating the same piece of info twice in the same sentence, we usually use that to refer back to what has been said earlier. I'm happy that we didn't let them down. وإنني سعيد لأننا لم نخذل تلك الجماهير. كما أنني لا أهتم بالألقاب الفردية. الألقاب الفردية إن بعد ما الفريق بياخد البطولة بيكون مثلا أفضل مدافع، أفضل هداف. خلينا نشوف هل في ألقاب فردية مثلا. خلينا نشوف في حاجة، في لقب اسمه أفضل هداف. أفضل هداف في التاريخ، أفضل هداف في بطولة كأس الأمم مثلا للشباب. مصطفى محمد هو يتوج بجائزة هداف البطولة. So we have هداف. So we could use هداف. حاليا هداف يعد مصطفى محمد هداف بطولة كأس الأمم للشباب بعد إحرازه 4 أهداف في البطولة after netting in this competition. So we don't need here البطولة. Later on we are going to review this. And speaking to صدى البلد qualification, and we don't care much here individual accolades such as فلا أهتم بالألقاب الفردية مثل هداف البطولة، مثل الهداف، أفضل هداف or man of the match. في عندنا جايزة أحسن لاعب في المباراة اسمه man of the match، رجل المباراة. رجل المباراة أو أحسن لاعب في المباراة. فكل ما يهمني I was only concerned about us فريقنا يعني qualifying for the Olympics. فكل ما يهمني هو تأهلنا لدورة الألعاب الأولمبية، والآن نفكر في أو نسعى للفوز في المباراة النهائية. Now we'll go for the third one, which is a mastery of the target text. So after you're done with this, you can, for example, get this and this and copy, and now you have compared both of them. So now we have the text. So now let's read it as a text as if it's written in Arabic, not in English. So it will be in a separate sheet or paper. So let's read it as a text. Remember again that a text, a natural text, is coherent, is related, the ideas are related, and there is some kind of logical connection between the expressed ideas, and there is a communication and the situation, suitability to the context. كل الكلمات اللي موجودة مناسبة للسياق ده and المعلومات اللي موجودة are true and the information makes sense. Let's read it as a text. مصطفى محمد المباراة النهائية في كأس الأمم الإفريقية للشباب لا بديل عن الفوز فيها. أو ممكن أقول كده لا بديل عن الفوز في المباراة النهائية في بطولة كأس الأمم الإفريقية وفي كأس أفريقيا للشباب. كأس زي ما لسه قاريينها حالا، أفريقيا للشباب. فبعد الفوز المستحق، في جزء هنا ما نهوش، this part. تحدث مصطفى محمد مهاجم منتخب مصر للشباب تحت سن 23 عن تأهل فريقه لدورة الألعاب الأولمبية عام، ممكن أقول هنا التي ستعقد عام 22 أو دورة الألعاب الأولمبية 2020، هي حتى اسمها كده 2020. وأكد أن المباراة النهائية لا بديل عن الفوز فيها. Again, this sounds natural in English, in Arabic. Why? Because it's a text and the ideas are connected and logical, of course, and they are suitable to the context. لو الألعاب الأولمبية متعلقة بالبطولة ديت والمباراة النهائية ناس عايزين يفوزوا فيها. And then فبعد الفوز المستحق على منتخب جنوب أفريقيا في نصف نهائي بطولة كأس الأمم الأفريقية للشباب، حجزت مصر. ممكن أقول هنا فقد حجزت مصر، استطاعت مصر حجز مكان لها في دورة الألعاب الأولمبية في طوكيو الصيف المقبل. لكن again this is an informative text, so you are not supposed to foreground or to change the information structure in the text unless it is necessary. And then let's read the final part. ويعد مصطفى محمد حاليا هداف بطولة كأس الأمم للشباب بعد إحرازه 4 أهداف في البطولة. So ممكن نشيل دلوقتي كلمة البطولة لأنها مفهوم. بعد إحراز 4 أهداف، وأبدى سعادته في حديثي لقناة صدى البلد. هل أقول أبدى سعادته لتأهل منتخب مصر بسبب تأهل منتخب مصر؟ ممكن أقول بسبب أو لتأهل منتخب مصر للأولمبياد بعد هزيمة منتخب جنوب أفريقيا في المباراة قبل النهائية. وقال قائلا: وعدنا الجماهير بالتأهل وقد وفينا بوعدنا وقد فعلنا ما وفينا به، أو وقد فعلنا ذلك. وإنني سعيد لأننا أنني ولا لأننا؟ لأننا because we لأننا لم نخذل تلك الجماهير، كما أنني ولا أهتم، ممكن أقول هنا كما لا أهتم كثيرا بالألقاب بإحراز، ممكن أقول بإحراز الألقاب الفردية مثل أفضل هداف أو رجل مباراة، فكل ما يهمني هو تأهلنا لدورة الألعاب الأولمبية والآن نسعى للفوز في المباراة النهائية. So is this a text? Yes. Does the information involved in this text sound natural? Yes. Are they connected? طبعا هو حد فاز يصعد لدورة الألعاب الأولمبية بعد الفوز ده، وهو في فريق هم هزموه ووعدوا الجماهير بالفوز وفعلا فازوا، ودلوقتي they are thinking of winning the last game. So there is some kind of logical connection. هل كل المعلومات اللي موجودة suitable to the context? Of course, all of them are suitable to the context. هل information, this text is informative? Yes. So does it sound natural? I think so. So this is a practical part of getting a natural text. The 3 steps, the skills that are needed. So again, we need 3 skills. Skill 1 is to process the source text. Skill 2 is to transfer and compare. Skill 3 is to maintain cohesion، استخدم conjunctions عشان تربط النص مع بعضه، الأفكار تكون مترابطة مع بعضها، في علاقة بينها علاقة ترتيب زماني أو ترتيب مكاني أو ترتيب في الأهمية أو سبب ونتيجة. intention، there is some kind of communication and they are suitable to the context and the information are acceptable and they are informative. So that's it for today, and I wish you all the best, but you have to keep in mind that in Sunday's session there will be a quiz, an online quiz, and it will be graded. And this quiz will be graded, and it will be on sport only, sport text. So I wish you all the best and thank you so much. And if you have any question, you can get back to me on the LMS and the sections dedicated for discussion. Thank you and wish you all the best.